Occasionally I'm able to talk with individuals who either went through the pain of a divorce or went through an extended separation in their relationship or their marriage. And one of the careful questions that I typically ask them was, what caused this extended separation? What was it that was so big that it ended up irreconcilable? And the common question that I get from the majority of these couples or these individuals, well, it was really never any big thing. It was these small things that ended up creeping into our relationship. They snuck into our marriage. And not only did we have the problem, but these problems began to linger too long. We got caught up in raising the kids. We got caught up in our careers. And we never really gave attention and eliminated these sneaky little things that got into our relationship. And so whenever I think about these situations and conversations and experiences in marriage, it always brings me back to a small Old Testament a book called the Song of Songs. There's only 8 chapters to this, but I love this little book that I want to share with you during this time. Solomon's bride poetically, the Shulamite woman, poetically tells him that go catch the foxes that could come in and destroy the whole vineyard and its fruit. These small little foxes that we learn in this story that teaches us, these are the things that can ultimately sneak into our homes, sneak into our thought life, sneak into our private time, sneak into our relationships and marriages. They could be outside influences. They could be things that sneak their way through the back door of our relationships that we would not even know, for what reason why they're there. We just had become apathetic. Or whatever the case may be, or the reason may be, we need to eliminate these things quickly. Song of Songs is a beautiful description, a beautiful picture of romance. As a matter of fact, I believe it's God's perspective of marriage. What I love about these 8 chapters in the Song of Songs is that out of all of this language of love, 20% of it is about conflict. We see in chapter 4, there is this beautiful, steamy honeymoon. Now you're going to want to go back and read chapter 4. You need to read all 8 chapters. There's a steamy honeymoon, and then the next chapter after that, it fades right into a fight or a disagreement, a conflict or whatever it may be. But this is what the Shulamite woman says. She says, I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my beloved is knocking. And Solomon responds to her and he says, open to me, my sister, my darling, my dove, my flawless one. He calls her a flawless one. Wow, she must have been an incredible woman. My head is drenched with dew, my hair with the dampness of the night. I have taken off my robe. Must I put it on again? I have washed my feet. Must I soil them again? This is chapter 5 of Song of Songs. Solomon is actually charming her now with the words that most likely he won her over in the very first place, but now he finds himself knocking on the door. That means she's inside. That means he's outside. She's done locked him out. And here he is, hey, my flawless one, my dove. And she said, I'm not a part of this right now. I don't want to deal with it. I've already brushed my teeth, did my hair. I'm in the bed. I'm tired. I'm not going to answer the door. Who knew? Who knew that they went from chapter 4, just the previous chapter, they had this steamy, passionate, wonderful wedding and honeymoon experience, and now it fades into conflict. Well, I think we can all admit that there was maybe one time, or at the very genesis of our marriage and relationship, maybe even Jennifer and I thought or said this, that we were not going to be like any other couples out there. We were going to experience this honeymoon for the rest of eternity, for the rest of our lives together. And then life happens, right? But even in the climate of conflicts and disagreements, this story in the Word of God can actually prove to us that passion is still possible, but it's going to take some intentionality. If I could take you back just a few chapters previous to this story, the Shulamite woman, while she was being courted by Solomon, they had this dialogue and this conversation exchange, and they said, you must catch the troubling foxes and those sly little foxes that hinder our relationship. And this is what she said, for they raid our budding vineyard of love to ruin what I have planted within you. Will you catch them and remove them for me? And then they both agreed, we're actually going to do this together. Well, what are the small foxes in modern day terminology or the application of modern day marriages? Small foxes, the things that sneak their way into our homes and distract us, could be social media, our cell phones, unresolved conflicts, maybe even the small things about your spouse that annoy you. Here's a big one, apathy. But the Shulamite soon, the woman came to her senses. Something took place, something happened, and I want to share those somethings with you that I believe will teach us in this story what we can do if we're caught up in some conflict and there's something that has snuck themselves their way into our homes, our relationships, and we've got to eliminate these things quickly so that there is not something that continues to linger and settle and live in the midst of our marriage and our relationship that threatens or sabotages it. First of all, the Shulamite woman, she took steps and she responded quickly to reconcile. We see this in chapter 6. If you continue to read in this book here, she refused to allow time to get away and she acted quickly. I love this in chapter 5, verses 10 through 16. She remembered her husband's best qualities, began to speak those qualities, possibly even to get her to the front door to unlock it, because she comes to the door and she actually gives him words of affirmation, one of the love languages. Chapter 7, she took time away just for the two of them to have staycation or just that quality time that we need in order for us to reconcile and share our hearts and our feelings with one another. And in the very last chapter, in chapter 8, verse 14, she never stopped deepening her friendship with Solomon, and he in return reciprocated that, and they began to get back to their roots of this friendship and this covenant relationship they had and blending it together. Perhaps that's the reason why the Shulamite woman said in the very last chapter, she ended the story by saying this: many waters cannot quench love, rivers cannot sweep it away. I hope that we can say that one day. Many waters cannot quench love at the very end of your story. Rivers cannot sweep it away. Once again, I hope that we can say that, but first, you better go catch those foxes.